All right guys, again, sticking with the hip mobilizations to help with pain, help with tightness in the hip joint, to help with mobility. These things are all important to work on certain guard positions, guard retention, movement, everything important in jiu-jitsu into everyday life. So another great way to mobilize the hip joint, to loosen up the hip, to decrease pain, is to do an anterior mobilization. Now, anterior mobilization is basically going to work where we're allowing the hip to come forward a little bit, so getting a little bit of mobilization forward. The reason why we do that, in therapy terms, there's a roll and a glide, and we want to mobilize in the direction of the glide. So meaning if our hip extends or goes back, so if our hip goes back, the hip joint, the actual femur bone comes forward. So as our hip goes back, it comes forward. So if we're missing range of motion with our hip going back, so like a lunge stretch, hip flexors are tight, those things, we're missing that extension moment. On getting some more movement in that hip joint to allow the hip to move more freely. Again, important for guard retention, those type of things. We're gonna go right, kind of the crease of your butt. We're gonna kneel. And as we come forward, you're gonna feel a really great stretch. You're gonna feel, as you come forward, that's driving an anterior mobilization, that's allowing our hip to extend, also giving me a really good stretch in my hip flexor, in the front of my thigh. Again, what I like to do is modify and add a little bit of an extra rotation to get some of the different fibers in the muscle, and also get some different areas in that capsule. And then I'll even go outward a little bit, just like that. I'm just trying to get some different planes, trying to get the full action of the hip joint, because it moves in many different planes. From this angle, this will be the other leg. So, right kind of at the crease, we're gonna kneel down, get nice and high, and we're just gonna gently lunge forward. As we do, that's gonna mobilize our hip joint. It's gonna provide some of that glide that we need to get more movement in that hip. I get some different angles, so this way I feel more on the outside of my hip joint, in the front and the outer part. If I move my foot in, I feel it more in the front and the inner part. So I'm just mobilizing the hip joint. Coming in, getting a good stretch. I like to kind of lunge with it and come back, just kind of rock. Whatever feels good to you, whatever gives you a really good stretch is what I would do. Again, get that anterior mobilization so as our hip extends. We're trying to promote that forward glide. You can come back and kind of pulse. Lunge forward, let the band do some work. Come back, get a little more resistance from the band. Again, getting some different areas, some different ranges. So, great ones to do.